Throughout this week, I've gotten to take a look at some key matchups between the Bears and the Cowboys as their road to rivalry continues.
Oklahoma State and Baylor are playing in their 42nd matchup this Saturday in a series that dates back to 1914. This will be the fifth-ranked matchup since the infamous 2013 game, where the rivalry between the Cowboys and the Bears started.
In 2013, an undefeated and fourth-ranked Baylor team came into Boone-Pickens Stadium with aspirations of a BCS national championship on their mind.
But that all changed when Baylor quarterback Bryce Petty fell at the 1-yard line, failing to secure the first points of the game.
Got off to a good start, and Bryce Petty was running for the end zone, and nobody was around him. And like you said, the turf monster jumped up and tripped him, and he didn't score. And it was kind of like, uh-oh.
Oklahoma State ended up winning that 2013 game 49-17, putting that matchup on the map. Since that meeting, Baylor has been in control, winning 6 of the last 9 games. Throughout the past 9 years, there have been many memorable games, most notably the 2015 game, where Baylor flipped the script and defeated a 4th-ranked, undefeated OSU team. Although most games have been very close, Oklahoma State has had 2 blowout wins against Baylor. In 2017, winning 59-16, and in 2020, winning 42-3. The last regular season matchup was in BPS 364 days ago, where the Cowboys outlasted the Bears 24-14.
Now, the most recent matchup between the Cowboys and the Bears was right here at AT&T Stadium, where Oklahoma State was this close from being Big 12 champs.
I was heartbroken, you know what I mean? It was a tough loss. Disappointed that we couldn't get, from the 1-yard line inside the 5, somewhere in there, we couldn't rush it in.
With the departure of Oklahoma and Texas from the conference, we may see the birth of a new rivalry in the Big 12. Expect to see more games with higher stakes.
That leads us to here, McLean Stadium, where Oklahoma State is seeking revenge from that unfortunate Big 12 championship game.
Back here to Florence, South Carolina, Jace Andrews and Scott Updike with you here tonight. Blake Shepardson is back on the mound as he gets into his second inning of work. It's a 2-2 ball game here. And the Sharks looking to get their first lead of the game if they can push a run across here. In this inning, Shepardson will see 4, 5, and 6, the middle of the order. Mason Landers, Scott Bandura, and Jordan Medina. A couple of singles through those 3. Landers, though, has reached. And actually, it looks like we're going to have a pinch hitter here. As it'll be Wyatt Crenshaw who will take his first AB, pinch hitting for Mason Landers. First pitch to him is up high for ball 1. Crenshaw, he's got a .260 average with a .651 OPS. And he scored 21 times this year with 5 doubles. That's another ball. It's 2-0. Pitch from Shep. That's in there, the fastball. 91 miles an hour on the gun. It's 2-1. Well, Landers did get hit in the head back in the first inning. Cut and a miss there from Crenshaw. But he did have another AB after that in the third. So interesting he's getting taken out now if that is the reason getting hit. That's bounced. A chopper to the third baseman. Maddox fires to first. It's in time, and there's one gone in the top of the 5th. That'll be Scott Bandura. 0 for 2 with a strikeout on his last time up. Looks to bunt, pulls back, takes a strike. If you're just joining us, 2-2 our score here on the top of the 5th. Flamingos put 2 runs on the board in the bottom of the first, and then 1 run in both the top of the third and top of the fourth for the Sharks. 0-1 pitch is outside, and it goes to 1-1 now. Blake Shepardson working here in his second inning of work. 1-1. Almost gets the batter Bandura, who has to spin out of the way and kind of heads down the first base line momentarily. 2 balls and 1 strike now. 2-1 pitch is a little low. It'll be 3-1. Bandura playing left field tonight for the Sharks and still looking to reach safely for the first time tonight. Hard on the ground, third base line, it's foul. Man, he shot that off the bat, but it doesn't stay fair, according to the third base umpire, Robert Hemingway, who I think correctly called that one foul. Count is now full. Scott Bandura playing in the CPL here this summer, but he was actually playing in the Little League World Series, I guess 8 years ago now, back in 2014. He made it all the way to the USA semifinals. 3-2 pitch is a swing and a miss. Strike 3 as Bandura goes down swinging for the second time tonight. And there's 2 gone here in the top of the 5th for Blake Shepardson. Jordan Medina now steps up, 1 for 2 on the night, a single and a ground out. He's the catcher for the Sharks this evening. First pitch to him is low, and it's ball 1. Now, although Medina is catcher tonight, he has been known to be slotted in the DH role sometimes. 1-0 is a fastball taken at the bottom of the zone for a strike. Medina goes to Colorado Christian, where he plays his college ball. 1-1, a cut and a miss, strike 2. Fooled him on that pitch. Medina was actually on the 2018 Baseball America Top College Freshman watch list. 1-2. Fastball taken for strike 3. And Blake Shepardson strikes out 2 here in the top of the 5th. Flamingos look to break the tie here, coming up in the bottom half of the 5th.
Thanks, Alex and Asa. I'm still trying to recover from the Cowboys game as well, but let's try and move on and look at some of the other Big 12 games from last week. Let's start first with TCU taking on West Virginia in Morgantown. This was a high-scoring game from 2 really good offenses. First quarter, West Virginia on top 7-0 when Max Duggan finds Tay Barber for a 71-yard strike as both offenses were just getting started. We move ahead now, fourth quarter, Mountaineers down 10, and JT Daniels trying to mount a comeback as he tosses it to Reese Smith, and he snags the ball out of the air and holds on as he takes a hit to bring West Virginia within 3. A couple of drives later, it's the Horned Frogs and Savion Williams catching his 3rd touchdown of the year, this one sealing the victory for TCU and keeping their season perfect. We now travel over to Ames, Iowa, where the Cyclones, still looking for their first conference win, are taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. We start in the second quarter with the game tied at 3, and Oklahoma setting up to take the lead with a field goal of their own, but whoop, it's a fake. Michael Turk, the punter, finds the kicker Zach Schmidt for a 2-yard dump pass, and Schmidt finds the end zone to give OU a 10-3 lead. We go into half with the Sooners up 13-6. Third quarter now, and Dylan Gabriel throws his only touchdown of the day to Jaleel Farouk, and Oklahoma up 20-6 now. Oklahoma comes out on top with the final score 27-16, and they improve to 5-3 ahead of their matchup with Baylor. Speaking of Baylor, they were in Lubbock taking on the Red Raiders. The Bears were looking like their normal selves in this game, with the standout freshman Richard Reese putting the ball in the end zone 2 times in the second quarter to give Baylor a commanding 17-3 lead at the half. Late third quarter now, Baylor on top 24-10 and make that 24-17 as Byrne Morton runs it in from 8 yards out to shrink the deficit to 7. But the fourth quarter was all Bears as they score not once, Not twice, but 3 times in the fourth to give Baylor the 45-17 victory. Alex, Asa, I will see y'all in just a bit for our weekly pick'em. Cowboys are victorious here in Kansas City on night 1 of the Big 12 tournament as they defeat the Oklahoma Sooners 57-49, and they get their 3rd Bedlam basketball victory of the year. That's the first time the Cowboys have done that since the 1964-1965 season, so some history tonight for the Pokes. Tonight, the Cowboys were led on the defensive side by Tyreek Smith. He totaled 14 rebounds and was a monster presence on the defensive side of the ball. On the Oklahoma side, it was Tanner Groves doing it all for them. He finished with a double-double in his final game in a Sooners jersey. Oklahoma State with the victory will move on to the quarterfinals matchup. They'll take on the Texas Longhorns tomorrow right here at T-Mobile Center. That's scheduled for 6 o'clock tip. We'll be right back with all that tomorrow, but for now, that concludes the coverage of tonight. Jace Andrews here reporting from Kansas City as Oklahoma State once again victorious over Oklahoma in round 1 of the Big 12 tournament. Well, thanks, Alex. Unfortunately, the Oklahoma State Cowboys will not be participating in this year's March Madness, but the same cannot be said for the rest of the Big 12. Looking first at the defending national champions, the Baylor Bears. The Bears look to go back-to-back and be the 6th team ever in NCAA history to do so. Now, the Bears have had some injury struggles as of late, but they seem to be getting healthy at the perfect time. The Bears ranked first in Quadrant 1 victories for the 2nd year in a row and look to be primed for another Final Four run. Their counterparts, the Kansas Jayhawks, are led by Ochai Agbaji. They rank 2nd in the Quadrant 1 victories with 10. Now, the Bears and the Jayhawks split the regular season series going 1-1, and they are both currently ranked as 1 seeds in this year's tournament. Traveling down to Lubbock, the Red Raiders seemed to be on top of the world last year with Mac McClung and Chris Beard, but now this year seemed to be lost all hope. But hope was not lost as they reached to the number 9 rank in all of college basketball. But unfortunately, their problem this year, upsets, losing to Kansas State, TCU, Oklahoma, and OSU. Now in Austin, the Longhorns look to be, for their first time ever, a true threat in the Big 12 after losing Shaka Smart and gaining Chris Beard in the head coaching category. The Longhorns, though, have been struggling this year as they've had some problems against the top 3 teams in the Big 12, going just 1-5 against those teams. Now, my final team I'll mention is the Iowa State Cyclones. The Cyclones were looking very good at the beginning of the season, but since then have just kind of fallen off a cliff. We'll see if the Cyclones can become this year's Cinderella story. Back to you, Alex.